Well, Alfred, I want to start big picture. You are no stranger to witnessing global conflict and the impact on global and local economies. Just how chilling do you think the impact of this invasion of Ukraine will be on the global economy and on the tech industry?
Hi, Emily. Thank you for having me back. Very good to see you. Well, this is a very personal matter for me because when I was CEO of BEA System, in September 11, we lost 2 employees, one in the tower, one on Flight 93. So a part of me had forever died when those kind of things happen. And I have to be the one to call the family. It was very, very tough time. And, these are chilling experience and memory. So for me, I think this impact is going to be a very long-term and very big. I've been warning our own companies and also our offices and employees in the Ukraine for quite some time since early January to take measure and set up backup plans for having backup offices in neighboring countries. Thank goodness at this point we have everyone accounted for, and they have now since safely have been moved to safe places, and they have been able to resume working. But it's an extremely scary time.
Money has been pouring into startups over the last couple of years. Do you think that's going to slow down?
I think likely not because of just this invasion. Without any doubt, we are going to be seeing some of the softening in the IPO market. Some people believe the IPO market is temporarily closed. So when you have liquidity kind of all of a sudden drying up, we will be seeing some late stage deals softening up on valuations, or maybe even having some early signs of difficulty in fundraising. But it's going to take a long time before it trickle down to the early stage deals. In particular, I think most of the venture investors have raised a lot of money throughout this time. So we have a lot of dry powder to continue to invest in companies. The view of investing in those companies obviously over time will change, because think about this, like our own companies now, we have to advise them to take everything about the sanction very seriously. So if they are selling to Russia, they will have to be very careful, and we have to assume some of those customers we'll have to say goodbye to. So that will have impact. The European market has been extremely hot for early stage startup for the last 12 months. There's no doubt that will be impacted in this coming year, the rest of 2022. So those impact we're going to be feeling pretty well. So for startups, I all advise them to be careful with their cash, to have ample run rate, and be careful if they want to be going out to fundraise, to do it early and do it diligently.
Now, we just went through the list of businesses cutting ties to Russia. I spoke with Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, just a couple of days ago and asked whether or not Airbnb would cut off service to Russia. Take a listen to what he had to say just a couple of days ago. Are you willing to consider, tougher self-sanctioning in Russia, even though, it sounds like hosts are limited right now based on what they can do? But would Airbnb consider going so far as to cut off the service?
I think all things are on the table right now. So we're really focused right now. I've been working around the clock with the team to try to figure out how can we house 100,000 refugees from Ukraine. But we have another team working with local governments and really trying to answer these questions. And if we have an update, we'll certainly let you know.
Brian Chesky tweeting last night that Airbnb is indeed now cutting off service to Russia and Belarus. Is this something that you think all companies should be doing?
Well, that's definitely the advice I've been giving to our own startup CEO. So most of our company have come to me over the last weekend in particular. We're seeing our open source companies seeing huge amount of package download from Russia. And some of the CEOs calling me and said, what should I do? So I've been advising them and said, at this point in time, you must block, because we honestly don't know how to sanction, where does it lie and what our responsibility are. But, we also have to play our part. Right? So what is right has to be right. I mean, this is a time where we all have to step up, to have our moral gauges to know what's the right thing to do. And one other thing I would like to add, though, the Russian people are innocent, right? So most of them, they have nothing to do with this war. So we got to be very careful we don't end up discriminating many of our friends that are good friends that are doing the right thing that are Russians. So we got to have that distinction very, very carefully.
Right. There's a line between, a fine line between who is this affecting, and clearly these sanctions are impacting a lot of everyday Russian citizens. To that point, how much money is in the venture capital ecosystem? How much Russian money is in the venture capital ecosystem? And should founders be questioning whether to take that money? Should they return that money?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, for us, we have never taken any Russian money for our fund, for the people that invest in our fund. I'm sure that throughout this time, there are people that directly and indirectly have invested into venture capital or directly into direct deals into the companies over this time. But I think those are the things where we need our government to guide us to know what's going to be that line, and money that they have taken that are actually ingrained in the spending of the company. What do we do with them? Those obviously are not for me to judge. Those are actually, we need guidance from the State Department and to know exactly what to do. I mean, we've seen this movie before. We have, the Soviets, when we have shut down, funding from China. And then I think overall, very smoothly, our industry and also, the tech companies were able to react very quickly and were able to tuck right in line and be able to comply to all the needs. At this point in time, I think we're still too early. It's very chaotic. I think the most important thing to do is to worry about the people. If we have employees, if we have companies, we have founders, we got to make sure them and their families are safe. That's job one.
What about venture capitalists? Venture capitalists are very powerful. They've got a lot of money. They're typically more quiet. Should they be taking action, cutting ties, pulling people out of funds, cutting off partnerships?
Actually, I think some of them are not as quiet as you think. I know that I have good friends, they run very large funds. They've been very active. They've created email aliases. A lot of actions have been taken to help the Ukrainian people, to end the situation now. I'm sure that I think in the days and the weeks to come, we're going to see actions from venture funds of taking actions, also in terms of sanctioning what the Russian money coming in. We all have to do our part. It can't be just, at a very, very macro level. I think at a fine-grained level, we all have to do our part. I'm sure this is coming.
Alfred Chuang, Race Capital General Partner, thank you for sharing your perspective here.